In this video walkthrough lesson, we're going to take a look at division, and more specifically the area model, and we'll be dealing with single-digit divisors, and this is standard 4 NBT B6. We'll be looking at this worksheet. You can go to worksheetsandwalkthroughs.com to print out a copy for yourself. You can find it in our division video walkthrough section, and it's entitled The Area Model Word Problems with Single-Digit Divisors. Let's take a look at the directions. Solve the following using the area model. Multiply to check your work. We have two problems. Let's take a look at the first. The first one says Molly has 210 App Store points to share equally with 5 friends. How many points will each friend get? Well, right off the bat, you're probably thinking we should look for our math job, and you can usually find your math job within the question. In this case, that's exactly what's going on. We've got how many points will each friend get, and we'll go to the first sentence to figure out what math clues we have. Molly has 210 App Store points. Right there we have a very useful number to solve this problem. We have the fact that she has 210 App Store points. Okay, and she wants to share them equally with 5 friends. And there's another bit of information. Sometimes numbers are written in standard form, or sometimes they're written in word form within word problems. So now we have this bit of information we should really deal with. And when it says share equally, that sounds an awful lot like division, and that's the operation we would use. And in this case, we're going to take a look at the area model. So let's take a look at setting this up traditionally. If we had 210, in this case representing the App Store points that Molly has, and she wants to share them equally among 5 friends. So we're trying to figure out how to divide 210 App Store points among 5 friends. And we're going to take a look at the area model to do this. Let's bring that back up, bounce it back down here. Here we go. So we've got an area model. We'll use a rectangular shape, for example. If we had a rectangle and our width was 5, representing the number of friends Molly wants to share her App Store points with. And on this length would be, we're going to try to figure out how many App Store points each friend would get. And we know that the area within this rectangle would equal 210. In this case, because we're dealing with 210 divided by 5. So now let's take a look at this. We kind of think of multiplication as the inverse operation of division. So we'll start with 5 and we'll think, basic facts. Well, I know that 5 times 100 would be 500, and that really would go beyond 210. We're going to try to equal or get to 210. So you might want to use a basic fact. Okay, 5 times 10, well, that's a good one to deal with. A basic fact most people know. And if you're not sure how to do that, we've got 5 times 10. Well, 5 tens you could count by tens. It would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Or you think of the basic fact here. 5 times 1 would be 5. And since we're dealing with tens, you just tack on 1 0 and we'd get 50. It's kind of a shortcut we've learned in previous lessons. So we'll use that, apply that here. So now 5 times 10 would equal 50. So I'm going to take a look and I'm going to divide this section here, and I'm thinking, okay, 5 times 10 equals 50. All right. So we've got 50. Not quite enough. So look, I'll think, okay, 210, we want our area of this rectangle to eventually be. So far we've got 50. So we can really subtract 50 from that, see how much we need left to fill the area of this rectangle. I realize that we have left off the bottom, but I've done that on purpose, and you'll see why. So now we've got 210 minus 50. 0 take away 0 is 0. 1 take away 5, well, you're probably thinking you can't do that. You need to borrow. Well, absolutely, you're right. So we'll borrow 1 from the hundreds place, and we'll actually add it to our, oops, should fix that. So we're going to borrow 100 from here, and in this case, we'll tack it on in front of our 10 that we have there, so we're making 11. So 11 take away 5 would equal 6. You're probably thinking that, good for you. And then we'll take 1 take away 0 would be 1. So we're left with 160, and we still really need to get up to that point. So I'm going to continue multiplying by 10 to try to fill up and get to that 210 mark. All right, so here we go. All right, 5 times, well, another 10 would get the same product. That would be 50. Again, we did 5 times 10 was 50. Another 5 times 10 would be another 50. So you can see we have 100 here. So now we can subtract another 50. So 160 minus 50, okay, we'd have 0 take away 0 would be 0, 6 minus 5 would be 1, and 1 take away 0 would be 1. If I'm moving too quickly for you, feel free to pause the video if you're kind of following along on your worksheet, and then pick up whenever you're ready. So here we go. Again, we have 110 left over, and let's say I'm thinking, well, that worked pretty well, so we'll do 5 times 10 again. And that would give us another 50. And you could subtract another 50 here. Okay, and we'd have 110 take away 50, or minus 50. 0 minus 0 is 0. 1 take away 5, can't do it. Have to borrow here. 11 take away 5 equals 6. So now we're left with 60. You're probably thinking, well, we could fit another 50 in there. You'd be exactly right. So now we'll go ahead and say, okay, 5 times 10 again would be 50. And now you can see why I kind of left that rectangle open, because we might want to extend it out depending on how much space you need to solve the problem. So we're going to subtract another 50 from 60. You might be thinking, well, I know that right away, and you probably do. Well, let's check it out. 0 take away 0 is 0. 6 minus 5 equals 1, and we're left with 10. Now you're thinking, well, 5 times what equals 10? You're probably thinking 5 times 2 equals 10. You'd be exactly right again. So 5 times 2 is 10. And if we subtracted that 10, we are left with 0. And you are done. So if you add this up, you could add that up. We've got 50 plus 50 is 100, 150, 200, 210, and that's what we started with. So 5 would go into 210. How many times? Well, you might be thinking, how would I figure that out? Well, look. You've taken this apart. You kind of distributed this 5 out quite a bit. You've got 5 times 10 plus 5 times 10 plus 5 times 10 plus 5 times 10 plus 5 times 2. Well, let's see how many times we could fit that in there. Well, let's just add up these. If you've organized them, it makes it quite easy to do, because you've got the ones place to add up and then the 10. So let's do that. 0 plus 2 equals 2, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 42. Okay, so 5 goes into 42. I'm sorry, 5 goes into 210 42 times. Now let's go back and see if that would make sense. If Molly had 210 App Store points to share equally with 5 friends, each friend would get 42 App Store points. Well, yeah, that seems to make sense. How could we check? Well, you can always remember the inverse operation, or the opposite operation of division in this case would be multiplication. So to check your answer, you can always multiply your quotient times your divisor. So let's try to do that. We've got 42 times 5. So we've got 5 times 2. I mean, really, if you think about it, each friend gets 42 App Store points, and we're multiplying by 5 to make sure this all checks out. We got 5 times 2 is 10, if you're thinking that, good for you. Then we've got 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1, we'd be back to 210. So yes, it does indeed check out. So, how to fully answer this question? How many points will each friend get? Well, the best way to do that is kind of put it in a sentence. So let's try that. And we've got each friend would get or receive how many points? Let's make sure we get our correct answer in there. We've got 42 here, 42 up here. Okay, that was our quotient, or the answer to our division problem. So each friend would get 42 points. There you go. So we've solved that first problem. Now let's take a look at the second problem. In this case, Evan wants to buy an electric guitar that costs $304. He makes $4 per day doing chores around the house. How many days will it take for Evan to earn enough money to buy the guitar? Again, we've got a math job right in that question. So we'd like to take a look at that, circle that question. So we can understand what our math job is. So we have to figure out how many days it's going to take Evan to earn enough money for that electric guitar that he wants so badly. In this case, we've got, he wants to buy the electric guitar. Where's that math information? Right over here. It's going to cost $304. So we're dealing with 304. And he makes $4. Let's see, $4 per day doing chores around the house. Now, per means each day, so he can earn $4 each day. So how many days will it take for him to earn the money for the guitar? Well, you might be thinking 304 divided by 4. And to be exactly correct. And sometimes you might want to divide using the traditional division algorithm method. That's fine. It works just great. But now, like I said, we're going to practice the area model. So again, we're going to have a rectangle. And we'd want to represent one side as being 4. And then we want to multiply and figure out how many times we can get 4 to go into 304. So now I'm thinking, well, I know 4 times 100 would be 400, and that's too much. It's way higher than 304 in this case. So now we could do 4 times 10, and that would be 40. That's not really that close. So let's try going in between. We've got between 0 and 100 we have 50. Let's see what happens when we multiply 50 times 4. I'm kind of showing my work on the side just to prove I know what I'm doing here. So I've got 50 times 4. Our basic fact is 5 times 4, and that would be 20. And since the 5 over here was in the tens place, we can really add on or tack on a 0. In this case, 50 times 4 would be 200. So, let's take a look. We've got 4 times 50. 4 times 50 would be 200. And we're really trying to get to 304. So 4 times 50 was 200. And to figure out how much more we need, we'll subtract 304 minus 200. 4 take away 0 would be 4. 0 take away 0 would be 0. 3 take away 2 is 1. So we have 104 left. Let's see, 4 goes into 104. Well, now we could think, okay, I'm good with working it with 10. It's a nice benchmark number to work with, so let's use it. We've got 4 times 10. You're probably thinking 10, 20, 30, 40 would be the answer to that. So good. So we'll put that in there. We've got 4 times 10 is 40. We'll subtract. 4 take away 0. 4. 0 take away 4. Can't do it. You need to borrow. That becomes 10. 10 take away 4 would be 6. So we've got 64 left over. So now we've got let's see, 4 times something equals 64. Well, I could do another 10. Like I said, these benchmark numbers are really probably easy for you to work with, so let's continue that. So we've got 4 times 10 would be another 40. So we'll subtract that 40. 4 take away 0 would be 4. 6 minus 4 would be 2. Oh, look at that. I can see where this is headed. Now we're thinking 4 goes into 24 how many times? Well, you might be thinking, hey, that's a basic fact. I know that one. And that good for you. So that would be 6. So if you're thinking that, good for you. Because 4 times 6 equals 24. And that kind of finishes off our rectangle. Now you might be thinking, well, how does that solve our division problem? Well, 4 went into 304, and you could add these up. We've got 200 plus 40 would be 240. 240 plus 40 would be 280. And then 280 plus 20 would be 300. And then we've got 4, so it would be 304 altogether. You could add those up. That would equal 304. But the true question is, how many times does 4 go into 304 to solve our problem? Okay, let's add up these numbers. We've got 4 went into 304 50 times, and then we added 10 times 4 to that, and so on. We kept going. So we can add up these. We've got 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 6 in the ones place. And then we're going to add these 5, 6, 7. So it would be 76. So this should work out. 76 times. So in other words, back up to Evan up here. Evan had a guitar he wanted to purchase for, it was $304. And he made $4 per day doing chores around the house. And it would take him 76 days. So there's the answer to the question. How many days? Well, it would take Evan 76 days to earn enough money to buy the guitar. Not sure about that? Let's use multiplication to check. It's always a good idea to check your work. So let's do it. So we've got the quotient times the divisor. In this case, we've got 76 times 4. I'm going to show my work in using the lattice method. It was voted the most popular method, multiplication method, on the website. So now let's check it out. We've got 4 times 6 equals 24. Let's use a different color so it kind of stands out. 4 times 6 is 24. If you're not sure how to use this lattice method, we've got videos at worksheetsandwalkthroughs.com that show you how to do the lattice method. So that's there for you. So let's continue. 4 times 6 was 24. 4 times 7 is 28. And now let's add them up diagonally. 4 plus 0 would be 4. 8 plus 2 is 10. Plus 1 up here. 2 plus 1 is 3. And there you go. It checks out. There's our work. So we've got 76 times 4 does indeed equal 304, so now we can finalize our answer. How many days will it take for Evan to earn enough money to buy the guitar? It will take 76 days for Evan to earn enough to buy the guitar. And there you have it. So that was a quick look at using the area model to solve division problems with single-digit divisors. Thanks for checking out worksheets and walkthroughs.com, and we'll see you again next time.